Okay, welcome to Hanging Out with Bob, a podcast hosted by me, Bob at Home. Thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Well, baseball fans, more specifically Minnesota Twins fans, this podcast is for you. Because in this episode, we're going to talk about the 1965 Twins team that won the American League pennant and went to the World Series. Joining me for this podcast about the Twins' 1965 season are brothers Wayne and Al Damrow. All three of us grew up in Columbia Heights, Minnesota. Both Wayne and Al appeared with me on a previous podcast about the glory days of professional wrestling on TV, All-Star Wrestling, back in the 60s and 70s. Welcome back to Hanging Out with Bob, guys. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Good to be here.
Some quick background on my two returning guests. Wayne Damrow and I have known each other since we were both 9-year-old boys. Wayne worked nearly 40 years with the Minnesota DNR in the forestry department that included assignments all across the state of Minnesota. He's married and lives in suburban Shoreview. And his brother Al, 5 years younger than Wayne and me, is retired from the U.S. Postal Service, where he worked for 35 years. Al now works for his kids on a part-time basis. Is that true? Good. All right, good. He lives in suburban New Brighton and has 5 grown children. Is it 3 grandkids still?
Yep.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, guys, I'm really looking forward to today's podcast. That 1965 Minnesota Twins season was really a special one for the team and for its fans. The three of us were just kids then in 65. Wayne and I were 12-year-old 7th graders at the late great Columbia Junior High School.
High.
And Al, you were, I'm trying to figure out, you probably would have been about 2nd grade at Highland?
Yep.
Because we're like 5 years apart, so wow. But even then, as young as we were, it was still an exciting time for kids, at least in our neighborhood. Everybody knew about the Twins and followed them. So
Knot-hole gang.
Exactly. Some background on that 65 Twins season. It was the 5th season for the Twins franchise in Minnesota, also their 5th season at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, and the 65th season overall in the American League. Because for the first 60 years of the franchise, guys, the Twins played where?
Washington, D.C.
Yep. The Washington Senators before they moved up here. Anyway, the Twins won the American League pennant in 65 with an impressive record of 102 wins and 60 losses. It was the team's first pennant since moving to Minnesota, and the 102 wins in the regular season is still a team record. Do you either guys remember going to any Twins games during that 65 season?
I think my dad took a group of us,
Yeah,
he and several of their fathers, to the Knot-hole gang.
Knot-hole gangs.
We sat in the bleachers.
Yeah,
and-
left field.
Yep. I remember that too. I went to one game in 65 that I can remember, and it was a Thursday evening, June 10th, 1965. And thank you, Baseball Almanac, for helping me to pin down the date and the box score for that game. I remember the game, but I couldn't remember exactly when it was. So I looked it up. But it was a beautiful summer night, June 10th, at the old Met. The Twins were hosting Cleveland. I went with my dad, who I believe got the 2 tickets from somebody at his workplace. They were great seats, those box seats along the first base line, not too far behind the dugout, literally, the Twins dugout. So it was a great atmosphere, great night for baseball. But unfortunately, the Twins lost that game that night 4-1. Cleveland had a pitcher named Sam McDowell on the mound pitching that night.
Sudden Sam.
Sudden Sam, yep. And he made the All-Star team that year, and he was actually at the top of several American League leader lists. ERA was 2.18, strikeouts 325. In fact, that strikeout total in 65, 325, still stands as the second highest in Cleveland franchise history to the 348 strikeouts
Bob
by a
Feller.
guy named Bob Feller. You guys read my mind. The heater from Van Meter, that was his nickname. Because the legend was that when he was a kid, he could throw a baseball through the side of a barn wall. He was that powerful in his arm. Yeah, Bob Feller. Yep. But anyway, that night against the Twins, Sudden Sam had a great night. He went 8 innings, scattered 8 hits, and allowed just 1 run. Walked 5 batters, but he also struck out 9. Well, he was big lefty, and if you were a left-handed batter, that had to be scary seeing him, So, you guys remember Twins pitcher Dave Boswell?
Sure.
He was the one pitching that night for the Twins. He was only 20 years old. I didn't realize he was that
He
young.
won 21 year.
He was a good pitcher.
69, he was very good.
Yeah,
He was just coming up now he had 100 innings during the 65 season. He was like 6-5. So
Yeah.
He
20
contributed, but
Yeah, 20 years old. He gave up only 4 hits in that game, but 2 of them were solo homers, and then the 4 runs he did get up were all earned. So on to the 65 season itself. The top highlight of the 65 season, of course, was going to the World Series. But before we talk about that, I want to list some highlights that I've listed, and feel free to whatever you want to add to that as well, guys. And my primary source for these highlights, as I was looking this stuff up, which was really fun. That's the most fun I've had, just digging into stuff, because it's something I was interested in. It was a website called the Society for American Baseball Research, or SABR.org.
Sabermetrics.
Yeah, but it's great. They've got articles of games. I mean, it's like it was yesterday. Baseball does a magnificent job of records. I mean, they've always been a stats-oriented
Right.
sport, but I mean, if you want to find history, there's no shortage anywhere, online or in the library. So
YouTube has hundreds and hundreds.
yes. Okay, the first highlight that I listed was actually the Twins home opener, the season opener. Monday afternoon, April 12th, 1965, they beat the Yankees 5-4 in 11 innings. I definitely remember this one. But before we get to the game, let's back up just a little bit. And I think you guys remember this. You remember the winter of 64, 65. We were like 6th graders. And I just remember it seemed like it was just really cold and we had a lot of snow. And it just never stopped. And we got a lot in March. Remember they always talked about state basketball tournaments would always be snowing. And we certainly got that in 65. And what happened is in April, when we started getting the rain, then all that stuff started melting.
Yep.
And it just caused rapid rise in both the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers. By opening day on that Monday of April 12th, Minnesota, the state, was suffering through some of the worst flooding on record, with numerous areas across the state dealing with more than 20 feet of water, sometimes higher. And some, I think, Chaska, someplace like that, it was like 34 feet, just unbelievable. And you probably remember watching the news like I did, because my folks were watching that stuff on TV. It's like,
sure.
oh my God. So the night before, on Sunday, April 11th, the Twins would usually hold their annual welcome home baseball dinner. But because several of the players lived south of the Minnesota River, they couldn't get to the welcome home dinner. And so it changed plans, dramatically. And Wayne, you had mentioned this before we started recording. Tell us about the actual opening day, what it meant for some of the players that lived south of the Minnesota River.
Well, Jim Cott specifically was supposed to be the opening day starting pitcher for us.
Yep.
And he couldn't get there. So he called CCO, and the Twins dealt with the radio station.
Sure, they're broadcasters.
And borrowed the helicopter and started ferrying players to the game.
Yeah, and just
pretty
amazing.
amazing.
Well, and then it makes you wonder, because I'm going to ask you guys a trivia question. Maybe you've got it. Do you know what the size of the crowd was for that opening day?
I don't.
What would you guess? I mean, based,
45,000.
I would have said 47,000.
I think the stadium could hold about 40,000 plus then, because we're going to talk about this a little later. But remember in the left field, they were building those new bleachers. It was like a 2-level or 2 decks. It was for the Viking football, I think, more than anything. But so that was closed up, but it still could hold up to 40,000. But because of the weather or whatever like that, the opening crowd was only 15,300.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's all that were able to. I'm thinking a lot of them couldn't get there. If they live south of the Minnesota River, it's like, well, what are we going to do?
They probably, with the weather, probably got most of the people from Bloomington.
Yeah, it'd be like north of the metro. Like for somebody like us, we could have probably gone to Bloomington, but yeah, it didn't work. So less than 16,000 people for 40,000 capacity. So, and it was also not the greatest day. I learned as I was researching this. It was cold and windy. It was only 44 degrees. And there's nothing more miserable than being cold at a baseball game, I think.
I know.
I just, you think it should be nice and sunny, but even if it is sunny, it can be cold. So it'd be pretty miserable. So, and I guess the reason that those bleachers I read about that, the Vikings actually paid for that. They wanted to be able to get more people in the seats there.
Sure.
And they were able to pay for it, and it cost a grand total of $1.2 million to build that. But they did that so they could get a reduction in their rent. It's like, okay, we'll pay for that if we reduce our rent. So that's what they went ahead and did that. But they were closed to the spectators on opening day. They just couldn't get there. So, and then think about what the grounds crew had to go through. I mean, what I was looking at, they had to remove about 40 inches of snow, the week before the opener. They did what they could, and Mother Nature helped a little bit, but you can imagine just to get the grass and the field and everything ready to play. So that was quite a big deal for them just to get the game ready, or get ready for the game. So.
Kind of like the Packers volunteers who
Yes,
shovel.
when they get snow, right, right, yeah, yep. And of course, the Yankees, that's who they opened against. They'd won the last 5 pennants.
4 to 5.
And I think they were favored to win again in 65. I know the Twins weren't. I think they were picked to maybe finish in the upper half of the American League, but nobody thought, the Twins are going to win this year. There's no way they aren't going to, win the American League. So, and then they had also kind of plummeted in 64. I think they were below 500 in 64.
Mm-hmm.
They'd won 91 games in the 2 seasons before that, I think 62 and 63, but they kind of fell off, so they just weren't on the radar as far as, who they were picking to win. So,
The Yankees won 29 out of the last 44
yeah,
leading up to that year.
it's amazing the dominance that they had. So, but let's get to the game itself. The Twins had a 4-0 lead after 4 innings. And like you said, Jim Cott was the starting pitcher. He retired the first 10 batters that he faced, and he even helped his own cause with a 2-run single in the bottom of the 4th.
He was a good hitter.
Yeah, he was a very good hitter. And again, this is 65. This was it would be 8 more seasons before the American League would even introduce the designated hitter. So every team's pitcher had to bat. Remember how great Dean Chance was to play?
And Bert Blyleven.
Lifetime batting average is 0.67 or something like that.
But they had to bat. They had to go out there and
Yep.
hit. So, but then in the top of the 5th inning, with that 4-0 lead, Cott gave up a solo home run to Yankee catcher. Do you remember who that was?
Elston
65 would
Howard.
have been
Very good.
Elston Howard, yeah.
Elston Howard, a 12-time All-Star and the American League's most valuable player in 63. And somehow he's not in the Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame. I don't know. I was surprised. I thought he was. I don't know what it was. But an account that, that I read of this game was that he hit into those left field bleachers. And, the only people out there were like construction workers.
Yeah.
And some hard hat out there actually caught it. And he got cheered, because he got the home run. So that made it 4-1. And then in the top of the 7th inning, the Yankees got 2 more runs on a ground out and a sacrifice fly. So it's 4-3. Then they tied it 4-4 in the top of the 9th. So they had to go to extra innings. And then in the 11th inning, there was a fly ball that was hit by Bob Allison, but it was mishandled. So he advanced all the way to 3rd. So thinking, he's just 90 feet away from a win. Well, the Yankees intentionally walked the next 2 batters. So he had bases loaded, nobody out, but then he got the next two batters was a pop fly and a strikeout. So you got bases loaded, 2 outs, and then some guy that came up to bat, they got the winning single. He had a single to center field, so I gave him the 5-4 win. Do you remember who that player was?
I do
Caesar
not.
Tovar.
Caesar.
And he went in because Rich Rollins, I think he got hurt in the game. He was playing third base. So Caesar went in and played for him.
Well, Caesar played all the positions.
Yeah, one year he played like all positions in the game.
In one game, yeah.
he pitched and he caught and he did everything. But that was his first game and he got the winning hit. So that's kind of a cool way to start.
Yeah.
So good start for the Twins and for Kitty. And he got his helicopter ride home after the game and they got him off to a good start. Okay, the next highlight, I've got this. This is on Wednesday evening, May 12th, 1965. That's when Harmon Killebrew hit 2 home runs, including a game winner in the 8th inning against the Los Angeles Angels. And full disclosure, I don't remember that game. I had to look that up. But what I do remember is that May 12th was just 6 days after one of the worst tornado outbreaks in Minnesota history. And the 3 of us grew up in the Heights, so we certainly remember what happened next door in Fridley.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember hearing sirens going off when we were in our basement and all that stuff.
We were watching from the upstairs.
Yeah.
'Cause we were up the hill from you.
Right. Yeah. Just a crazy night. But this was just 6 days later, this game. But anyway, they were about a month into the season. The Twins' record was 15-7. They were in first place, a game in front of the White Sox and a game and a half ahead of the Angels, I should say. A crowd of only 10,711 showed up for that game. It was a beautiful night for baseball. And the Twins were trailing 3-1 going into the bottom of the 6th. But then Killebrew hit a solo home run to make it 3-2. And then with 2 outs and a runner on base in the bottom of the 8th, he hit like a 450-foot shot over the center field fence to give the Twins a 4-3 lead and their 5th straight win. Just a sidebar about the Angels, and you kind of remember this too. I think they originally started out, they were the Los Angeles Angels, and they played in the same stadium with the Dodgers.
Chavez Ravine.
Chavez Ravine. Now they just call it Dodger Stadium, right?
Yeah.
But it was that same
I think so,
stadium.
yeah.
But they were also at the same time building a stadium for themselves in Anaheim. And so at the end of that same season in '65, they changed their name from the Los Angeles Angels to the California Angels, just to distinguish them, I guess.
Sure.
Yep.
You know, and I think they've had a few different names over the years. They were the California Angels, the Anaheim Angels,
The Los
the
Angeles
Angels of Anaheim, and then they finally said, "Screw it," and then they just go with the LA Angels. So, all right, third highlight that I wanted to bring up. You remember Jim Perry, of course.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually not being used very much at the start of that season. I don't know if he was having a rough spring training or not, but they weren't using him much.
He was brought in to replace Pasquale.
Yeah,
who
Camilo
got
was
hurt.
he kept having arm problems, shoulder problems. And this game in Boston, it was May 26th, Pasquale had to leave, and Perry came in and pitched like 3 or 4 innings of solid relief and did a great job. And Twins ended up winning the game, and that kind of got him going. I think he won like the next 7 starts or something. He just needed some confidence. You know, yeah, we all knew he was going to be a good. We all knew he was a good pitcher because he proved it. As
When
time
did he
went on.
win his 20?
Well, he won the Cy Young in 1970.
70.
Yeah.
He
So
won
it-
20, was it 23, 22 games?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he turned out to be a really solid pitcher.
Yeah.
You know, he just but that game kind of was a big one for him because Pasquale was going to be struggling with arm problems, and he'd get this third reliable starter coming in. So, all right, the next one I'm going to mention this was a Sunday afternoon, July 11th, when Harmon. It was just before the All-Star break. Kilbrew smacked a walk-off homer to beat the Yankees. It was at the Met, and there were like 35,000 fans there. And he hit this 2-run homer with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th for a 6-5 win.
6-5. Yep.
Yep. And so heading into that game, they had kind of a mediocre June, as it turned out. They were like, well, they were 16-13.
We'd love to have that.
I take that with today's Twins. But, you know, as well as they had played in April and May, they kind of struggled a little bit in June. But they got hot just before the All-Star break. And that was, you know, Killebrew's home run to beat the Yankees. I guess that got a lot of national exposure, too, because the Yankees, of course, are going to get the ink. And they said that the
America's
blow by
team.
Killebrew was probably the biggest jolt to the Yankees all season. So it gave the Twins, it established them as leaders, I guess. And the next highlight I want to bring up, again, we got a couple I'm going to go through before we get to the actual World Series, was the All-Star Game itself. And that was played on July 13th, 1965. Obviously, the first time Minnesota had hosted an All-Star Game. I was going to ask you guys, you know, we were going into 7th grade. Al was going to 2nd grade. Do you remember watching that game on TV?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But as far as any memory specific, I don't have any.
All I have is the TV, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it because, and it was a black and white TV in my folks' house.
sure.
But they did some fancy things, even the baselines. They had the regular white line, you know, to go to first base, but they had red on one side and blue on the other. And then they had those not flags, but what they hang in the
Bunting?
seats.
Bunting.
Yeah, bunting. Thank you. And then they even had they call them the fungal circles or on deck circles. They had stars and stripes or something. So they really played. You know, they went all out for that. And it was,
Fancy stuff for the 60s.
yes, it was. But I was very excited about the game because the Twins in first place, and I thought, man, we're going to the World Series. And I can remember my dad and my grandpa and uncles to say, it's a long season. Don't get excited. You know, there's a lot of baseball left to play. So, but the All-Star game it was great that they were having the All-Star game the same year that they were having their best season. It was just a fun year to watch that. So,
And they had 6 players in
yeah.
that team.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the All-Star game was amazing itself. The National League got off to a big start. It was like 5-0. And I thought, oh, here we go again, because they'd won like 13 of the last 20 or something. They just said they've got it. But then it was exciting because in the bottom of the 4th inning, the American League tied it up. There were a couple of 2-run homers. One was hit by, remember Dick McAuliffe? Mm-hmm. He actually started at shortstop ahead of Zoilo, but he hit a 2-run homer. He had that open stance, I remember. He's a left-handed batter, and he held the bat way up in the air. And he was actually facing the pitcher. But then as the pitch was coming, he'd turn more, you know. That was just his way to...
His timing thing.
Yeah, the timing thing. And, of course, the other 2-run homer was by Harmon. He got the other one. So they tied the game up. And then the National League finally won it in the 7th inning. Sudden Sam McDowell was actually on the mound. But it was great reading this because when you mention the names that he faced, it's like, wow, this is like a who's who.
Yeah.
He walked Willie Mays. Henry Aaron reached base on a single. A ground out by Roberto Clemente advanced both runners. And then an infield hit by Ron Santo from the Cubs brought in the go-ahead runners, an infield hit. But it's got all these names. It's like, man, name droppers. And then to save the game from the National League with 2 innings relief was Bob Gibson of the Cardinals. And it made it interesting in the 9th inning. You probably noticed show that too, Wayne. Tony Oliva got a double. So they had the tying run on second base. But then Gibson struck out Killebrew, and then he struck out a Yankee named Joe Pepitone.
Yeah.
Joe Pepitone. Do you remember Pepitone?
Oh, yeah.
I always thought it was a cool name.
Was he first base?
Pepitone was the center fielder who was supposed
center.
to replace DiMaggio and be a superstar. Very popular, but his popularity fell when they realized that all the times that his hat would fall off his head when he was running and he was looking so fast, he was purposely putting his hat on so tight, a small hat, so it would fall off. And the media just ripped him to shreds after they found that out.
And you know what he owned in Minneapolis? Actually, Golden Valley, a liquor store.
Joe Pepitone?
I think.
Wow.
It was,
Oh, I
or was
didn't
it
know
Johnny
that.
Blanchard? It was one of those
Oh,
two.
wait. Yeah, because Blanchard was from Minnesota originally,
yeah,
right?
It was
Yeah.
Blanchard.
Well, the thing that I was cracking up, and I just happened to watch a Seinfeld episode the other day where Kramer was helping a guy who had a carriage, like a hansom cab, and Kramer is driving these 4 people in the carriage, and they must have been foreign, like from Asia or something, because there's like an interpreter saying what Kramer's saying. Kramer's is just, he's wearing a top hat, and he's going, what was his line? I had to write this down. He said that Central Park was designed in 1850 by Joe Pepitone and built during the Civil War so the Northern armies could practice fighting on grass.
That sounds like Kramer.
I think they were like Japanese, and this guy's interpreting all the Kramer saying, but Joe Pepitone. So, all right, but back to the All-Star game itself. The announced attendance for that was 46,706. I don't think there was an empty seat in the house that day. A beautiful day, as I recall. The double-deck bleachers were done in time, so people could sit there, and that increased the capacity of the stadium by about 5,000, having the second deck. Because I remember sitting in left field before that double-deck thing for not-whole games. So not only were the Twins in first place at the All-Star break in 65, but they also had the most players, as you mentioned, Wayne, with 6. Included Earl Batty, who started at catcher, Harmon, who started at short, and then you've got your notes, too. Go ahead, Wayne, tell us who the other
Jimmy
4.
Hall.
Yep.
In left field.
Yep.
Versalles
Yep.
and Earl Batty.
Well, we mentioned Batty. There were 2 other guys.
Mudcat Grant,
Yep.
Killebrew, Hall, Versalles, Batty, Oliva.
Oliva. Yep, Tony. So they had 2 starters and the other 4 reserves. They all got into play. So and Sam Mealy, the manager, he got to be one of the coaches. And then do you remember Hal Narragon? He was Earl Batty's backup catcher for the first couple seasons, and then he became a coach. He got to be part of the coaching staff of that game too.
Oh.
Just a fun fact. And then do you remember a lefty, a reliever named Bill Pleiss?
The name.
Yep.
Pleiss.
Yep.
He was throwing batting practice. He was a token batting practice pitcher, so he got to be in the game too. I've heard Pat Royce talk about this over the years, and I'm sure you guys realize it too. But he said that 65 All-Star game was amazing because there were a total of 14 players from the National League and 7 from the American League who ended up in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Let's just try this for fun. I'm cheating because I got the notes, but there were 4 pitchers from the National League. Can you name the 4 pitchers?
Bob Gibson.
Yep.
Koufax.
Mm-hmm.
Is Drysdale?
Yep. And there's one more. He was a starter this
Juan
guy.
Marichal.
Yes, Juan Marichal. Yep. Good job, guys. Good job. And then the players, I'll just go through these quick, and you've heard of all of them. Joe Torre, he was a catcher for the Milwaukee Braves at the time.
Yep.
Ernie Banks, first baseman with the Cubs. Richie Allen, third baseman with the Phillies. Ron Santo, who ended up getting the winning hit. Hank Aaron from the Braves. Roberto Clemente. Willie Mays. Frank Robinson, he's an outfielder with the Reds. Willie Stargell, he was a
Sure.
young Willie Stargell then. You think about it, that was 65.
Yeah.
Because he's on that 79 team that, the We Are Family group, the
Yep,
Pirates.
sure.
Yep.
And then remember Billy Williams? He was
yeah.
an outfielder with the Cubs. So-
521 career home runs.
yeah, great player. And then I mentioned one other player. He started second baseman in the National League. That's Pete Rose. And now that might be reinstated in baseball, he could get elected posthumously to the Hall of Fame. Maybe.
Yep.
There's been talk about that, and even talk about shoeless Joe Jackson. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But that would have been another Hall of Famer that played. Now the American League only had 7, but let's see if we can guess who those are. too.
Killebrew.
Yeah, Killebrew. Yep.
Mickey Mantle.
Yep. He was actually injured for that game, but he was
Yeah,
named
he
to the
was
All-Star
named,
team. I think that's why Oliva got to be in the game.
And then
yeah.
Al Kaline, I think.
Yep.
Baltimore.
Oh, Brooks Robinson.
Yep. Third baseman.
Yep.
Yep. And the Red Sox had an outfielder.
Oh, Yastrzemski.
Yep.
Sure.
Yes. And then and Tony Owens. So. And then the 7th Hall of Famer, he was the manager there, was Al Lopez.
Oh, okay.
He normally, I think what you did is the manager of the previous year's pennant winner would
Right.
be in it, but
Right.
the Yankees had fired Johnny Keane as manager or something because they lost in the World Series to somebody in '64. And so somehow Al Lopez, I don't think they pulled his name out of a hat, but he ended, maybe because the White Sox were second.
They
that
finished
year.
second the year
So,
before.
so that's what
he
it
would
was.
have gotten
So he
that.
got to be the manager,
Yeah.
but he's in the Hall of Fame, and I wasn't aware of that.
No, I wouldn't.
That'd be a great pub trivia question,
Sure.
Al Lopez. So, but you just talk about star power. I mean, baseball immortals, and like Royce said, because that's probably one of the greatest All-Star games ever, just for names.
And my father-in-law was at that game.
Oh, he was.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
they had season tickets. My father-in-law was one of the first 5 people to order season tickets from the Twins when they moved.
Wow.
And so they were behind home plate in that area
Oh,
down
man.
there for the entire time that the Twins are at Met Stadium. So
Wow.
I don't think my wife was with him at the game. I think it would have been the two, my father-in-law and his brother that were
Wow.
at it.
Wow. Remember how guys used to dress for baseball games? I mean, guys would wear
White,
like ties, white shirts
and
and ties,
sport coat.
hats. I mean,
was
like
an event.
fedoras. It's like-
Yep.
Yeah, it was, you don't see that now. Now everybody's got jerseys. Like you pretend they're football players or. Oh, I like that. Yeah, Al's wearing a shirt that says Bomba Squad. Boy, that's going back to
What's that, 3 years ago?
who was in the Bomba Squad? Who was in the players from that?
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
It's easier to remember the old guys than what I had for
I
lunch
know.
yesterday, much less the players. But
The Bomba Squad. Okay. That was fun. Now, next thing, this isn't really a highlight. This will be what I would call a low light. It happened on Monday, August 2nd, 1965.
Killebrew got hurt.
Yep. That was the first thing. And what was this? There was another thing that happened. Didn't happen in the field, but it was also a big day because it kind of wondered what's going to happen. Camilo Pascual actually underwent his shoulder surgery that day. He had some kind of shoulder muscle that was bothering him. That's why he kept leaving games. He was injured all the time. He had his shoulder surgery that same day, and it's like, will he be able to play again before the season's over? Is he done for the year? They weren't really sure, what was going to happen. So you got 2 key players, a key starting pitcher, and then Killebrew was having almost an MVP year. Before he got hurt.
Pasquale was 9-3.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So
so he was
But
doing good.
he missed about 100 innings. What he could have offered,
Sure.
he still did great, but they missed him there. So, but I want to talk about that Killebrew injury because I don't even know if I had the radio on. It was an afternoon in the summertime, but Rich Rollins had fielded a bunt, and when he threw it to first base, he kind of threw it to Killebrew's left, kind of toward the dugout, and he had to reach for it. And just as he caught it, the Baltimore player's name is Russ Snyder. Yeah, Russ Snyder. He hit Killebrew's, because Killebrew's in the baseline. He's got to run. And I think Mud Grant was quoting the story saying that you could actually hear it almost like pop. When it just, a dislocated elbow makes me cringe anyway. But I remember, they run out there and grab him, and he ended up. Well, I don't think he came back till like late September, so he missed all of August and a good part of
7
September.
weeks.
Yeah, 7 weeks. Yeah, but with a dislocated elbow, you don't really put it in a cast, do you? You just have to well, maybe it's wrapped or something, but you can't really do anything. So he wasn't swinging a bat or anything like that. So they just missed him. He's on the shelf for a long time. So
Well, you can figure he lost about 20 home runs.
yeah, because
He would have had almost 600
yeah
if he had not been hurt.
he had
That
22
season
at the
in
time.
68. And he ended up with 25 for the year.
Yeah.
That's a down year for him. Good year for anybody else, but down year for him.
Yeah. I'm realizing as I'm looking, going through that season, just what a great player he was. I mean, he was the real deal. I mean, the swing he had is still one of the prettiest I've ever seen. Oh man. But I remember when that injury happened. Like my dad and my grandpa and some of my uncles, the sky was falling. There's no way they can hang on. He says that's just so typical of Minnesota. All this stuff. But
Well, it is kind of.
yeah, it was. But fortunately for the Twins, a lot of guys stepped up. I mean, I remember Don Mincher became the regular first baseman, and they didn't really miss a beat. They continued to play well.
Well, we
You
had
had something-
three people who had 20 home runs besides Killebrew.
Yeah,
Don Mincher, Jimmy Hall, and Bob Allison.
yeah,
All
yeah.
of them. So
So guys stepped up, and then I'd mentioned Jim Perry earlier. Even without Pasquale, I mean, the guys were playing really, really good ball. It's just too bad that they had to get hurt, though. I mean, because they could have done even more. And then finally, the last highlight before we get to the World Series, and this happened on Sunday, September 26, 1965, when they actually clinched the pennant. They beat the Senators 2-1. It was a Sunday afternoon in D.C. I remember watching that at home with my dad too. It was a slow game for the Twins. They were losing, late in the game, but then they tied it up. I think Zoilo Versalles led things off in the sixth with a triple to left center field, scored on a pass ball to tie the game at 1-1, and then Frank Quilisi led off with the double and advanced to third on a wild pitch. And then he was able to score on a fly ball to center field deep enough to get in and score. And they won 2-1. And then Cott came through. He shut out the Senators for the last two innings, and then they won the game. So I just remember it was fun because that broadcast, they went into the Twins locker room after the game. I can remember, they had champagne. They were doing all that. That's the first time I'd seen something like that, 12-year-old kid, but I thought, is this what happens when you do something big? And goes, yeah. And I thought, well,
can't wait for high school.
Why don't you do this every year? If that's so much fun, But I read where he was vice president at the time. Hubert Humphrey actually came into the locker room. He had Secret Servicemen with him, but he got to go in there and congratulate him because, after all, he was mayor of Minneapolis and a senator from Minnesota and a big Minnesota sports fan.
Vice president.
And he was vice president, and he lived in D.C. That was where his job was. So it was perfect. You could see his team win and that stuff. So, well, did you guys watch that game too then, or do you remember having the TV on?
I don't recall.
Okay, because I did. My dad, he never missed a game. It was on TV, and I just thought that was really cool. I remember Sam Melu was actually swore coming in the locker room, because it was live TV. But he's way to go. But it was a big moment for them. So
Now, there was one person we really
Yeah.
haven't talked about much was Versalles,
Mm-hmm.
and how actual dominant he really was. He's an unknown to most people
Yeah.
outside of Minnesota, but
Yeah.
he tied or led the entire league or the majors in runs, doubles, triples, total bases.
Yeah, he hit an amazing year. I was going to bring this up later, but I'll bring it up now. Another guy that we haven't mentioned, but I think should get some credit, is the guy that was the third base coach that year,
Martin.
Billy Martin. In fact, he was given a lot of credit, or he was also mentioned as one of the reasons that Versailles had such a great year. He worked with him a lot because he was an infielder himself, and I think he gave Zoilo a lot of confidence. And he was also an aggressive third base coach. He had guys, he was more aggressive about stealing bases and advancing runners, and almost wait for the defense to make a mistake. So his attitude toward playing seemed to really help the team. And he ended up becoming a manager, 4 years later?
1969 Twins.
It was only 1 year, but
1 year.
he
Because he got in a fight with Boswell.
Yep.
Boswell, and he hated Griffith, Cal Griffith. So he was not the easiest guy to get along with. I'm getting the feeling,
He knocked out Boswell, though, so he could throw a punch.
Yeah, he could. Yeah. There's some notorious stories about him and Mickey Mantle when they were Yankees too. It's like wild guys. So
Much alcohol was consumed.
yeah, quite a bit. All right, let's get to the biggest highlight of all, the World Series itself against the Los Angeles Dodgers. That first game was a Wednesday afternoon, October 6th, 1965. Interesting thing about this is I researched, and I'm sure you came across it too, Wayne, is that the ace of the staff of the Dodgers was Sandy Koufax.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't pitch that game because it was a Jewish holiday. It was Yom Kippur. And he said, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play that day. And so Don Drysdale got the nod instead. And
Not a bad alternative.
no, I was going to say, if he would have been an ace on just about every other team in baseball, but when you're with Koufax, you're number two. But the Twins had a great game. That they won that game 8-2, and Mudcat was the pitcher, went the distance. Something funny about thing about Koufax, it was Yom Kippur, and that's why he didn't play. But have you guys ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm? Larry David is the star, but he and Seinfeld were the ones that created Seinfeld.
Right.
But he did an episode, I just saw it last week, and I'm still laughing thinking about it. But there was he invented a verb, he called it Koufaxing. And and in this episode, one of Larry's friends, another Jewish player, his name was Marty Funkhauser, they were supposed to be a golf tournament on a Saturday, but he wouldn't play because he had this rabbi that told him he shouldn't be golfing on Saturday. And so when he told Larry David he can't play, Larry David says, "You're Koufaxing us?" and then Funkhauser says, "Well, if you're saying that your best player isn't able to play because it's a Sabbath, yes, I'm Koufaxing you."
I've never heard that.
Well, Larry David, it was probably his thing. So back to that game one. In our class, Wayne, I don't know if it was the speaker above the teacher's desk or if a teacher had her own radio, but we were listening to the game. Do you remember hearing the game? Did Mr. Grandjean let you guys hear the game at Highland?
I don't think so.
You were in second grade,
I
so
was
maybe
in second
yeah.
grade, yeah. But
But-
I mean, I listened to as much as we could
Yeah.
when we could and
Yeah.
watched what we could, but I don't recall.
I thought that it was coming through the speakers, like
It
every
might have
teacher's
been, but
desk.
I don't recall that.
Because, I mean, that just shows what a big deal it was for us to have the World Series. So they were actually piping the game in. Because I remember hearing, that game one, the highlights of that. And I thought, this is so cool, so. Well, the next day was also, the next day. As nice as it was on game one, it was like 70 degrees and sunny. It had rained that night. So the field wasn't in the greatest shape on that Thursday afternoon, October 7th. In fact, it was downright muddy. Jim Cott, started for the Twins, and Sandy Koufax pitched that day because it was the day after the holiday, and the Twins won 5-1. It was just a great game. But the thing I remember most about that game was a certain play, and the Twins were out in the field. Yeah, it was
Allison's the catch.
a left-handed batter for the Dodgers. What was his name again?
Lefevre.
Yes. And it was drifting away toward the foul line, but it was still in fair territory. And Bob Allison, I see you got a picture up there, made just a great catch, which surprised me because I never thought of Bob Allison as making a play like that because he was a big guy. He wasn't and it was just a beautiful catch, but it saved what could have been. Oh, at least, yeah. I mean, it was, and then they got to that inning and didn't score, and then the Twins came up and got their runs, and like I said, they won the game decisively. But I actually was looking at that on YouTube the other day, the Allison catch. So
It has gotten brought up through the years, one of the better catches in World Series.
Yeah, in
history.
World Series,
And
yeah.
He covered a lot of ground, especially for a big guy.
yeah, just amazing. Allison made some really good plays in that World Series. I mean, he got some home runs and made a good catch there too. So that was great. They were up 2-0. You're thinking, oh man, this is great. Let's win out in LA. So so they go out to California. They played a game it was on a Saturday afternoon, October 9th, 1965. but it didn't work out so well for the Twins. The Dodgers pitcher, the third guy, Claude Osteen, he threw a 5-hit 4-0 shutout. And, you know, it was just funny because the Twins had beat their two best pitchers, and you're thinking, all right, 2-game lead, but
But I
it
think
just,
Austin, I mean, he was a good pitcher. I think he won 15 games
yeah,
that year.
yep, he was 15-15 that year, and he had a 2.79 ERA, so he was a good pitcher. And I also read that when he played for the Senators before he got traded to the Dodgers, he was like undefeated against the Twins. He had their number, so he had it even with the Dodgers. Camilo actually started that game, Pascual. But
I didn't remember that.
but he got rocked, so he wasn't able to. He didn't have the success that Osteen had. Did you know that Claude Osteen? I couldn't pick his face out of a land, but he had a nickname for the Dodgers when he played there. They called him Gomer, because evidently he looked a lot like Jim Neighbors from Gomer Pyle USMC. But man, he was Shazam. But he dominated the Twins in that game, and again it was a 4-0 shutout. Twins didn't even score, so that made it 2-1. And you're thinking, okay, well, we'll get him back.
Minor setback.
Yeah, we'll get him back the next day. So, but that didn't happen either. But before I get to the game, I'm sorry. There's one thing I wanted to bring up, and I didn't see this live because I was doing something on Saturday. But in that game, there was a foul ball, and Earl Batty went back to try to catch it. It was behind home plate, and he slammed into this. The Dodgers had kind of like almost like a dugout for fans.
And didn't it hit
And
his
it
throat?
hit his neck, and he just went down like he got shot. And it's like, oh no! So, do you remember who the catcher was that came in for him?
Well, as soon as you say it, I'll know it.
His first name was Jerry.
Zimmerman.
Yeah,
Zimmerman.
yeah,
Jerry
Zimmerman
Zimmerman.
came in for
Yep.
him. So, but yeah, I remember my dad said, I don't know what happened to Batty, but he just ran almost. He wasn't running full speed, but he was running, and he hit that rail, and the rail won. It's like but he did come back later, and we'll get to that. So. Now, in the Sunday game, the next day, Game 4, that was October 10th, 1965. I'd rather not talk about that one as well, but Drysdale was pitching that game. They beat the Twins 7-2 in that one, so that tied it at 2 games apiece. Come on, and Grant, it was a rematch. Mudcat Grant was pitching again for the Twins, but he didn't have as good a game as he had the first time, and Drysdale was great. He had 11 strikeouts, and he struck out Jimmy Hall and Don Mincher 3 times each.
Oh, my.
So that's kind of tough.
There's
You
a
don't
chunk
get-
of your
you
offense
don't
right
get
there.
much production. So the Twins got their 2 runs on solo home runs by Killebrew and Tony O. But that was it for that one. So it's tied up, 2 games apiece.
Still plenty of time.
Still plenty of time. October 11th. And that was another matchup with Cott and Koufax. And this time Koufax really dominated. They won 7-0. They didn't even get it.
When
right
he was
again.
on, he was on.
Oh, yeah. He was the
He was
best.
like Bob Gibson.
Yeah, he was the best. So, yeah, in fact, Cott had to come out of there. They took Cott out of the game, and Boswell came in to pitch for him, try to stop things going, and Jim Perry got in to pitch. But in the end, the Dodgers ended up with 14 hits, and they stole 4 bases. They had a real fast team, as I recall. I think the Twins had power, with all
It
those
was,
home run
it
hitters.
was
But
speed, and it was classic National League versus
yeah,
American
yeah,
League.
they were faster, and they were aggressive on the bases, and they stole bases and got the Twins to make errors. They won that pretty convincingly. So all of a sudden, after going out there 2-0, now they're down 3-2. It's like, So they had Monday off, or Tuesday off. They flew back here, and they played on Wednesday afternoon, the 13th. And it was good to be home, I guess, because that might have been, well, they played almost a perfect game. Mudcat Grant was pitching. Not only did he do a great job on the mound, but he even hit a 3-run homer.
Yep. Allison had one also.
And so they really, in fact, that was, I think, I have it here somewhere, but there weren't a whole lot of pitchers that actually hit home runs in World Series. He was only like the 7th of all time to do something like that. So it was a big, and it was great for the Twins fans because the stadium was packed. And Earl Batty got to play. He was already back in the lineup, and it was exciting because in the bottom of in the first inning or second inning, he hit a triple. And for Batty to hit a triple, that's got to be pretty hard. You figure the outfielder's got to dive for it, miss it, and then has to run back and catch
and
it.
it's bouncing off.
Yeah. So he goes sliding in head first in the third, and with all that excitement, they still didn't score. But they later innings, then Allison got that home run and Grant. So like I said, it was a convincing win. I think 5-1 was the final. So okay, Game 7. This is all the marbles. That was a Thursday afternoon, and we're thinking, oh, come in and do it. Well, again, they had to face Sandy Koufax, and he and Cott were both going on 2 days rest. So you're thinking, well,
They'd never do that now.
yeah, no. And so the Twins, I think, threatened in the bottom of the 5th inning. They had runners on first and second, and Zoilo hit this shot to third base, but the third baseman, his name is Jim Gilliam. He made a great backhanded stop, got the ball, stepped on third base, and they weren't able to get any runs out of it. So, and you remember how the Dodgers scored?
No.
It was a guy named Lou Johnson. He hit a home run, and it hit the left field foul pole, so it made it 1-0. Then the next batter came up. I think it was the next pitch. He hit it like a double. Then the next pitcher after that, or next hitter after that, got a single, and that scored the run. So they made it 2-0. But there's 3 straight pitches, and they got all the runs. Yeah, 3 straight hits. And like I said, it was just a tough break. And then Koufax really settled down. I think he retired 13 of the last 14 batters that he faced.
Sounds right.
And had 10 strikeouts. And he was MVP of the series, and he was just awesome. But as I recall, that game, every game was in the afternoon. This is way before they were playing night games. So I remember taking the bus home from Columbia Junior High. And the game was still on. My dad had it out on the TV in the living room, and we saw the end of the game. But it's disappointing, to see the Dodgers celebrating. And it's like, oh, that's no fair. But they lost to a really good team and a great pitcher. So
I can see Herb with the transistor radio. Our grandfather.
Holding the radio up to his ear to make sure he could hear it.
Yeah. Oh, great memory. The interesting thing about this series, maybe you came across this too, Wayne, is that no relief pitchers were used by the winning team in any of those games. Every starting pitcher went the distance. They didn't bring in a closer for the 9th inning. Grant and Cott went the whole way in their games, and Drysdale and Koufax and those teams didn't use one relief pitcher for the winning team.
Right.
And that hadn't happened since 1940, and it hasn't happened since. Nobody does it anymore.
And it never will.
No, it won't.
That's
it won't.
one of those things that'll never happen again.
Yep.
They're worth too much money, the pitchers.
Yeah.
Can't injure them.
That loss in Game 7 is still, they've only had 3 World Series, but that's still the only home game they've ever lost. They won all their home games in 87 and 91. So, yep. And it would be, after that 65 series, it would be another 22 more years before they'd get back to the World Series.
69, they were close.
They were close. Yep.
69 and 70
Yeah,
division
because
champs.
they won divisions.
Baltimore.
The Orioles. Yep. But in 87, they got back and they won, and then they did it again in 91. So, but they waited a long time. But when you think about it, that's a shorter time than what we're waiting now. I mean, it's been 4 years since
34 years.
It's been a drought. So
It doesn't look like it's going to happen this year.
no, no, I'm pretty sure it's not. That 65 season, it's interesting. They drew
1.4 million.
And that led the American League. And last year, the Dodgers, they had 3.94 million.
That's what you get, though, the playing in the afternoon versus playing in at night.
Yeah. And then even last year when the Twins collapsed, because they looked like they were going to win the division or at least go to the playoffs, they had 1.95 million. So they drew almost $500,000 more than that 65 team did. But I remember going to games, except for maybe World Series, you'd get decent crowds, but it was never like sold out stuff. It just, maybe baseball just wasn't attended as well as it is now. I don't know. So you mentioned earlier, though, it's a couple more highlights or individual honors. Zoilo just had a great year. Zoilo Rosales. He was a American League MVP.
Yep.
You mentioned his 126 runs scored. He won a Gold Glove.
Yeah.
So he was great in the field too. Tony O won the American League batting championship. He had a 321 average.
321.
Yep. Sam Mealy was manager of the year. Mudcat Grant led the American League with 21 wins. Became the first African American pitcher in the history of the American League to win 20 games in a season.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
In the American
I
League,
didn't know
yeah.
that.
And Jim Cott won a Gold Glove for pitch. He always had a good glove, Cott. He was always good with that. And in Killebrew, we mentioned earlier, even though he missed all those games, he still had 25 home runs and 75 RBIs. Like you said, Al, that'd be a career year for a lot of guys. So he was a special player. And we talked about Billy Martin. He was a big part of that team. You know, his aggressive coaching at third base, and he was like Zoilo's mentor that year and helped him have his best year. So, are there any other guys as we've been going through this? We're going through it fast. Any other twins that you thought of from that year that we haven't talked about yet?
I'll mention Al Worthington.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other pitchers that they had were guys who no one's ever given a thought to after that season. You know,
Right,
Pete,
right.
Pete Semino and Mel Nelson. Who could forget Mel Nelson? You know?
Me.
But
Bill Place, that was
Yeah.
the name from the past, and Johnny Klipstein, he was another reliever, and Dave Boswell was a starter, and only 20 years old, which still surprised me. I didn't realize that he was that young. But
and then Jim Merritt was with them too.
Yes.
And he ended up winning, you know, like on the 69 or 70 season, he won 17 games
Yeah.
for one of those. I forget which
Yep,
one, but
yep.
he was a fairly solid pitcher.
Yep. I've got some fun stuff here, guys. And maybe when you've got this in your notes too, but there are still. Remember, this was 1965, so this is 60 years ago. I mean, we weren't even teenagers, and now we're aging boomers. But those players, those are still alive, are all in their 80s and 90s now, if they're still alive. But I want to list them because I think it's cool that they're still alive, and I do remember this. You just mentioned Jim Merritt. He turned 81 last December, 2024. After the 68th season, he was traded even up to the Reds for a shortstop named Leo Cardenas.
Who
He
played
might-
for the Twins also.
Did he actually succeed Zoilo then, or was there somebody between him? I can't remember. This would have been 68 or
I
69.
think he came in right after. And
After
he was a pretty solid hitter and a pretty
Yeah,
decent
yeah.
fielder.
Yep,
For a
yep.
couple of years.
Yeah.
Another former Twin is still with us, Joe Nosek. He actually started more games than Jimmy Hall did. I don't know why Jimmy Hall was in the doghouse or didn't start, but he played a lot in the World Series. He turned 84 in last November 2024. Tony Oliva, he'll be turning 87 next month in July. His uniform number was retired in 91, but it was only last year that he finally got elected to the Hall of Fame. If his darn knees had...
He was a
that
Hall of
field-
Fame player
oh.
who got done in by his knees.
And you forget just what a great outfielder he was, too. He had a
Oh,
great
he's
arm,
cannon.
great range. You know, he was great. So I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame. And then Jim Cott, he turned 86 last November.
One of my all-time favorite announcers.
Yep,
Yeah, he's-
yes, yep.
Just love
I've
listening
got his
to him.
book, too.
Yeah, he just seems like a great guy. He played for 25 seasons. You know, the Twins gave up on
Twins
him.
gave
and-
up on him, and he goes to Chicago and wins 20 games.
Yeah,
It was
he
like-
played a long time. He played for the Yankees. He was around a long, long time. And he got voted into the Hall last year with Tony, which is great. And then you mentioned before Jimmy Hall, the center fielder. As a rookie in 63, he had 33 home runs.
Which is still the all-time record
yes.
for a rookie.
And they said it was, he got another record. He said it stood for more than 50 years as the American League record for the most home runs by a first-year player with not even one game of prior major league experience. So, I mean, he just, you know, some guys come up for a little bit and, you know, go back down, but he came up that year and hit 33 home runs. So,
You mentioned he might have fallen out of favor this year. Well, his production dropped from 33 to 25 to 20.
yeah.
And it was just,
Well, my dad, it's funny, I think back then it's now, when Sudden Sam McDowell was pitching, I remember my dad, because my dad was a left-handed hitter, and he said, I think Jimmy Hall got hit by a pitch.
right in the face.
Yeah, and I think it psyched him out, and it was a lefty that hit him, and he was a left-handed batter, and he said, watch Jimmy Hall's right foot. And I swear, every time McDowell would wind up pitch, that right foot would almost be, they always say he put his foot in the bucket, because he was afraid, you know, he kind of bail out.
He's getting ready to
And he
bail.
was he was intimidated by lefties. He just couldn't hit them. And I think that kind of did a number on him.
I don't remember what year he got hit.
Well, it was probably after his rookie year, because that's when he got all his home runs. He says he dropped off to, it was at least the second year probably. I don't think it happened as the rookie. But he's still alive. He's still with us. He turned 87 in March. And I mentioned him before, Bill Place. He's still around. He'll be 88 in August. And he also actually notched the first Twins ever at Met Stadium. He was a pitcher on April 22nd of 61. He got the first win. It wasn't Pasquale or Pete Ramis or Bill Place got the first win. Jim Perry, It's kind of too bad. He only pitched in relief in the World Series as well as he pitched, all during the 65 season. He only got in during the as reliever. He'll be 90 in October of this year.
Is Gaylord still alive?
That's a good question. I was just thinking of that. I don't know. And I don't think Perry or Jim Perry ever had a spitter. I never heard about him being, Gaylord. That's all he did, I think so. And then another guy that surprised me, he's still with us, Camilo. He turned 91 in
Good
January.
for him.
Yeah, good for him. His Twins number, or he's in the Twins Hall of Fame, but he didn't. I think his arm problems prevented him from getting enough wins.
For
to
2 or 3 years, he was so down.
Well, I remember my dad saying he had like one of the best curveballs he'd
yeah,
ever seen.
I've seen some of the
Yeah,
old
just
footage.
it's like ball falling off the table. You do that.
Kind of
so.
like
Blackwell.
Koufax.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, they both developed the elbows
That's
and had to
right.
retire.
And he never got the Tommy John surgery.
No, they
Where
didn't do that.
Blyleven never had that problem.
I know. Well, you guys remember Bert used to hate pitch counts. He just thought he just didn't
Oh, he's gone
understand.
nuts about
Yeah,
you.
he's-
Rave about that.
Good. And then the last twin that I'm aware of that is still with us from that team is Al Worthington. He turned 96 in February.
Wow.
So he's getting up there. He was born the same year as my dad, 1929. So 96 years old. And then I want to just mention one other guy because I always liked him. I always thought he was a good player. He passed away in May, and that was the third baseman, Rich Rollins.
Oh, wow.
He was 87 when he died. So
What about Bernie Allen?
I don't know.
Was he on the
He
team?
wasn't on the team.
He
then.
wasn't on the team.
They
in
had
65.
Jerry Kindall was the second baseman.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But then Quillisi sort of beat him out. In fact, Quillisi set a record. I didn't mention this. That game when they beat the Dodgers in Game 1, he had 2 hits in 1 inning. It was a long inning when they got all those runs, and he led off with a single, and then he came up later in the inning and got a single. So it was some kind of record that is really tough to beat.
Kindle was a classic good field no-hit.
Yeah.
So it was easy to beat him out when you had someone who
Yeah.
could come up and field about as well and hit 50 points better. I mean,
Yeah.
for the season,
Yeah.
Kindle was below the Mendoza line. So,
Yeah.
you
Randy Mendoza, yeah.
Whopping 196 average. So,
Yeah.
good fielder, though.
What do you guys think of a takeaway or two about this season that impressed you, the 65 season? What do you probably remember most about it, or you think about the most?
Well,
if somebody asked you about the 65 Twins.
For myself, I had started getting hooked on baseball as a kid.
You were
I
only
started
7,
collecting
right?
kids.
Yeah.
That got me hooked on baseball.
Yeah.
We threw a lot of balls in the
We
driveway.
played catch.
Yeah.
Wayne and I played a lot of catch.
Nice.
My dad would come out and play ball with us,
Yeah.
and it just really got the love affair with baseball
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
and it's never diminished ever
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah.
And then we'd
Yeah.
go down to the park.
Yep.
Little
We
park.
had a little sandlot, our own sandlot
Yep.
there. So, yeah. Oh gosh, I can't even imagine how many times we played baseball there. Just
Yeah, and it was nice being in a neighborhood where there were kids. Your
I know.
your group had kids.
Mhm.
We had from my bracket, same thing. We'd go down to that park that had that nice triangle layout where you could,
yeah, it was
Yeah.
almost a diamond shape. It was perfect.
yeah, played a lot of baseball there.
Yeah. How about you, Wayne? Like the 65 season, I've got a couple takeaways, but I want to hear if there's one lasting impression or one thing that sticks out most in your mind about that
It
season.
was Mudcat Grant hitting that 3-run home run.
Yeah,
Could specifically picture that.
yeah.
And how big was our black and white TV? Yeah.
Back then it was probably
About
about a 18-inch screen, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
Just glued to it.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the biggest takeaway. Home runs, they were off that year as far as home runs compared to the previous year. I think they had 150
Yeah,
and
yeah.
221 the year before.
Wow, yeah, man. Yeah, they had some bats in that lineup, man. Yeah, Jimmy Hall, Bob Allison, Killebrew.
Killebrew with a full year.
Yeah, Don Mincher. I mean, all those guys, they could hit the long ball. So, yeah.
Kind of like La Bamba.
Yeah. Well, I just remember the 65 season was fun because that's when I first started really getting into it. I mean, every game was on the radio. Every game that was on TV, it was must-see TV for us. That was a year, I was 12, Al, so I started consciously reading the paper every day. In fact, I read both papers.
Box scores.
Yeah, the morning paper would give you the summaries of the game, and then the afternoon game would kind of
The analysis.
they'd more analyze it. And think about that for a second. Both Minneapolis and St. Paul had 2 daily newspapers,
Yeah.
Yep.
and nobody does that
The
anymore.
Star and the Trib.
The Minneapolis Star in the afternoon,
Dispatch
and
and
Pioneer Press. Yeah. And now you can get your information on your phone, I guess. But I just remember how much that meant.
I still like holding a newspaper in my
Same here.
hand.
Same here.
I still get it every day.
I still look at box scores from other teams to this day.
You
too.
still take the paper?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah.
I've got an online subscription to the Pioneer Press because I got some kind of special on it, so I do that. But I went to a library a month or so ago, and I remember sitting down and actually saw Minnesota Tribune, a Star Tribune. I actually sat down and looked at it because I hadn't held a Star Tribune newspaper in I don't know how long. It was almost nostalgic. It's like I got to do this more often.
The sports section is still top notch.
Yeah.
The rest of the paper is shrunk and shrunk. But
It's literally smaller. They aren't even as wide. It's like the pages are. I don't know. It's
in
a
the
different.
comics, you have to have a magnifying glass to.
And there's not as much ads in it, because there's not as many subscribers, and it's a smaller, it's a different world, I guess. So, the other takeaway I was going to say, and not to be a buzzkill, but because they had lost that 7th game, it kind of conditioned me or got me kind of prepared for all Minnesota sports teams to just do expect heartbreak, get used to disappointment, hope for the best, but expect the worst.
Until 87.
Yeah, well, 87 and 91. But I read somewhere my brother had pointed this out to me. You think of the Vikings' 4 Super Bowl losses, the 2 times the North Stars did get the Stanley Cup, they didn't win it. The Timberwolves are kind of sort of knocking at the door, but can't get over the hump to get to the NBA Finals. So it's like, and there was a stat saying of the 4 major men's pro sports teams, NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball. Minnesota has gone like 33 years without getting any team to the finals. They call it a drought, of the big 4. So it's been a long time. It's just been a long time. The women have had some success. The basketball team has done
Wings.
well, and that hockey team, the Frost, I think they're called. They've won their 2 championships, but the men just can't seem to get over the hump. So, anything else? We've covered a lot. But
It
there's
was
still-
a really magical season.
Yeah, it was fun. It
Didn't
was fun.
maybe end the way we wanted, but it gave a lot of fun during the year. So.
Well, and I also think, I'll just say this, I think if they had won that year, that might be considered the best Twins team of all time.
Absolutely.
87 and 91 were great, and I'm not taking,
Well,
I'm
you,
not
you look
complaining.
at like the 67 team, the 68, the 69
Yes.
team, they were very, very good on all of those years.
Yeah.
But there was always one team
In
clearly
the,
better.
the decade of the 60s,
Yeah.
we had, I think, the second best record of all of baseball. Something
Wow,
like that.
wow. And just one pennant.
Just
One pennant.
Yeah, well, you didn't have divisions, you didn't have wild cards, you didn't have playoffs. The best team at the end of the season went to the World Series, and that was it.
and they were truly the best.
Yeah, they were. There's no doubt. You had 162 games. 162 games, you can't say they snuck in.
Right.
So
The one thing that was funny about that too is like at the start where you said the Yankees were predicted to win it just because they had for the previous
Sure.
several years, and they ended up finishing 6th with a record
yeah,
below
yeah,
500.
Yeah, they had a below 500 season. So, yep,
Those
yep.
yearbooks, how much do you think they cost?
Oh gosh, was like $1? I mean,
50 cents.
50 cents.
50 cents. Wow.
Yeah.
Money well spent.
Oh yeah, 50 cents right in the cover. So, that's great. That's great. So, well, this has been fun, guys. I'm glad we could get together again. I really love talking to you guys and sharing memories of that stuff. We're all baseball fans, and that 65 season for young kids, it was just a great time. I still wish they could have pulled out that Game 7, but still a great season. So, thanks again for joining me, guys. Really
Glad to
appreciate
be
it.
here.
So,
Good
yeah.
time.
And again, to our listeners, thanks again for hanging out with me, Bob Edholm, and my guests, Wayne and Al Damro. We hope you'll join us for the next episode of Hanging Out with Bob, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until then, bye.